So basically, I've been following the OpenAI thing because it's of interest to me that like a schism is developing in the major the religion of the people trying to build God. Basically.
Oh yeah, well, you said to me this afternoon that you thought this was like the most impactful piece of tech news this year to date, and I'm like, oh man, I hate when there's tech news. Something's on a tech.
Haven't
podcast.
they reinstated Sam Altman?
Yeah,
he's like Lula. They threw him in jail for a while, but now he's back.
Yeah, it's they're putting Ilya in the alt lag.
Whatever that means.
No.
That was just noises.
Yeah. No. So basically, what happened was the big breakthrough that they uncovered was this project called QStar.
Okay.
And it was basically just something where the
what if AI could Q?
Yeah, well, finally
they uncovered this secret project codenamed Qbert.
Yeah, it's an AI that can play Qbert.
Isn't Qbert a character from Dilbert?
Yeah.
Doing like war games, but instead of noughts and crosses, it's Qbert.
So basically, the claim that they are making, and this is going to sound quite small fry, but it's considerable, is that the algorithm is able to understand math concepts as opposed to the language used to describe math concepts. Does that distinction mean?
Yeah, because ChatGPT can't do maths. Famously, you give it a maths question and it just spits out some random shit.
Well, if you give it a math question, it will know what words to reply to your words with, but it won't be able to reason mathematically. Yeah. Basically, they're like, okay, we've done one that can reason mathematically. It's like, it's God.
Yeah,
they taught a computer how to count.
Yeah.
Now the company that was sort of like mostly cult is like sort of fractured.
Yeah. Well,
what's really funny about this is that computers have been able to do maths for like since the 19th century. Like the first computer they ever built could do maths. That's why they built it.
I guess this one can decide what maths to do.
Someone would say all computers do is maths, and anything computers do that isn't maths is just maths in disguise.
Yeah.
That's why computer science is basically maths.
Yeah. Whenever we talk about AI, I try to be clear on what is hype and what is not, what is something and what isn't. This is probably something. And the thing that's more significant is that like the in the debate between should we invest huge amounts of money into it, push it forward as far as possible or not, is this whole bickering in the board, the go forward as fast as you possibly can, commercialize it as much as possible, invest and update its capabilities as far and fast as possible has won handily. Of course it always was going to, because the fact that the nonprofit thing was always just a total smokescreen. And like Satya Nadella was just like, basically has strapped a brick to the gas pedal at this point to try to like.
I heard the word strapped and brick, and I got so distracted that I couldn't podcast for a second. Yeah, no, I mean this is cool. The fact that sort of the guy who co-founded Twitch played the Game of Thrones and lost, and now the sort of like counter coup has led
with Larry Summers.
Yeah, Larry Summers is back, right? Like if you were craving a director of OpenAI or a board member of OpenAI who had been like allegedly a guest at Jeffrey Epstein's island, you know, you can sort of like rest assured, you know, it's in safe hands now.
Yeah, well, he went in the off season.
There was a 6-month period where no one on the board of OpenAI ever went to allegedly to Jeffrey Epstein's island, and that worries me.
And what
that time has now closed. You know, the adults are back in the room. Don't ask what that room is. The adults are back in the sort of like weird island mosque.
Yeah, the children are back in the room. Anyway.
Yeah. So it's like, this is like, again, if it is with AI, I always say if it is what it says it is, which I think is probably still unlikely, then once again the Larry Summers is back at the head. And the funny thing is he replaced another Harvard person, Helen Toner, who left.
Helen Toner, the inventor of printer ink.
Anyway, so the only thing I want to say about this more is this is from Wired, so that was really interesting. Okay. Altman's strategy of raising billions of dollars and partnering with a tech giant to pursue ever more advanced AI while also admitting he didn't fully understand it was hard to align with his professed fears of extinction level events.
Yeah, it's almost like this guy's some kind of like opportunist charlatan. You know?
I mean, the only innovation really there is admitting that he didn't understand it. Because most tech bros don't really understand what they're doing. But he's the first one to be like, yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
Isn't that cool?
He's the first one who's like, look, I nor nobody understands this. You need to invest billions of dollars in my quote-unquote nonprofit so we can build the machine that replaces the teacher with an iPad.
It's closer to being a medium than anything else. You know, he's just a conduit for the spirits.
Yeah, it's like they've hooked up a fucking Ouija board to their computer and they're all sat there like going, ooh, they've got candles lit in the office.
This is why I think that ultimately what we saw was a kind of like Council of Nicaea, but really dumb and stupid and fast. Where
it's more like the General Synod.
We ended up with a kind of we ended up with a schism.
General Synod is fast.
You know,
we did because like OpenAI was going to split in like all of the stuff, the real like Heaven's Gate Away team of like AI. We're going to go to Microsoft, and now the counter coup has succeeded. They're going to stay where they are, working on the computer that knows what maths to do. And the future's going to be great or terrible. I don't know. But you know who does? Larry Summers.
Patriots in control, specifically Larry Summers.
It would be really funny if it went down like the middle path. Like if they managed to build a sentient computer, but they couldn't get it past the intelligence of like a 9-year-old child. What if you built just a really annoying computer that was like, can we play Frisbee? I want to play Minecraft.
Larry Summers is at the head of an organization that has a sort of like 9-year-old intelligence in the basement.
Oh, the last thing you want is Larry Summers in charge of a 9-year-old child computer. Anyway.
But that is sort of like what we're talking. It's like it has a child's understanding of maths, but has what they claim to be an understanding. These things, again, like they can't understand, but it's working with the concepts. Anyway, enough about all that. That's not fun.
We've built a nephew.
Yeah.
I want to talk about...
Talk about some British stuff. Like, you know, what news in this our tottering state?
Sphere. There's sphere news.
We're going to get spherical.
I love the sphere.
Well,
I love shapes.
I hope you don't love the sphere too much, because it's bad news for people who love the sphere.
Bad news for sphere lovers, more at 11.
Right. The Sadiq Khan, feckless Sadiq...
The Sadiq Khan.
Feckless Sadiq Khan has decided that he doesn't want to be a part of the future, that he doesn't think that he says... I don't want London to have a sphere. I don't want it to have a sweet concert venue where we can see Bono perform in holograms.
Because of woke, he doesn't want to build the giant orb that would have blinded everyone in Stratford.
Well, because they're concerned about what if a kind of, you know, like a 90s action movie scenario were to happen and some terrorists were to remove the chocks from the bottom of the sphere and it were to roll away, crushing all of London in its path. You know, that's a serious concern that I have about the sphere.
So basically, right, as corrupt, failing Sadiq Khan has said there shall be no...
Very sad.
A very sad man has said no sphere.
Very sad mayor of London, low traffic neighborhoods, okay. Your neighborhood's already pretty low traffic. No one wants to go there.
This is Sphere Entertainment Company and MSG Executive Chairman James Dolan, who we've talked about recently,
normal guy.
Said he said, I'm not even going to bother appealing to the government to reverse Sadiq's decision. Then saying,
I'm not even going to bother with bribing people.
Then said, it really is the end of the line for London. Why doesn't London want the best show on earth? That's it.
See, this is the thing, right? They did this and they put out a slightly longer, equally shitty statement that's like, well, I guess you don't want to be on board with the future. And the thing is, right, the sphere as a gimmick is something that you can get a kind of like moribund tourist destination like Las Vegas to sign on to. And you can do the kind of thing of like, listen, if you don't like it, I guess we'll like pack it up. We'll take the sphere to Reno, and that will terrify a Las Vegas politician. London, like, you can say a lot of bad shit about it, but it's got like 8 million people and like a significant amount of the stuff.
It has a water table that's still here, unlike Las Vegas. You know?
It has a sort of like a significant proportion of the global economy, even if it is mostly through like horse trading and scams.
Las Vegas, I think, is one of the worst places on earth I've ever been, and I've been to central Russia.
I've also been there, and it's very, very weird. But you can't pull this shit on a place that's an actual city, because you can't, especially like a city like London that is going to be fine.
You're basically in Southend-on-Sea on anabolic steroids, but like every main course at a restaurant costs $40.
Well, we're going to have to... Do you want to know what the best show on Earth was going to be, by the way?
Another Lion King production.
It was going to be the guys riding motorbikes up the inside of the sphere.
That would have been... We have missed that. No.
Sick.
Dolan said that Ed Sheeran wanted to perform at the opening show of the London Sphere.
Oh, we fucked it, lads. Ed Sheeran will never perform in London again. No, we'll never hear the strains of Small Bump or Shape of You.
Does he really have a song called Small Bump?
Oh, he fucking does. I think it's about...
Yeah, I bet he does.
It's a really old Sheeran track. Do you remember, Alice, I think I'm turning to your Britishiana knowledge here. Do you remember in like 2010 or so, Ed Sheeran was like friends with all of the like white grime rappers?
Oh God,
And he put out a collab album with like Devlin and some other like grime guys. And it was crazy. It was real crazy. It involved Ed Sheeran rapping.
Sort of the Linkin Park Jay-Z crossover album of our shitty country.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know if that's our version of the Linkin Park Jay-Z crossover album. Maybe we do need a sphere.
And that was Small Bump era.
So a statement from Sphere Entertainment said, "While we are disappointed in London's decision, there are many other forward-thinking cities that are eager to bring this technology to their communities, and we'll concentrate on those."
You can't do that kind of like, oh, I guess we'll just take it to Frankfurt.
Guess we'll just take it.
Or Dublin.
Guess we'll just take it to Neom.
Yeah, the Frankfurt Sphere. It's going to be the new stock exchange. It's going to display all the German company stock prices on the outside of the sphere. It's very practical.
Don't look at the prices.
Yeah, don't look at them.
Don't look at them this year.
They will burn your eyes.
They're very low. The red will burn your eyes. They're
We
very
accidentally
low.
made it out of the lights from the fucking ape meetup.
The company also said that they'd promised to provide blackout blinds to all homes within 150 meters of the sphere.
This is so fucking stupid. Like, we're building a fucking bomb testing site next to your house. Here are some free earplugs. Like, what? Like, no.
Also,
maybe I want to be able to look out of my window and not look at the fucking Eye of Sauron, cunt. Like, maybe the solution isn't bricking up every window in my house.
but also, like, houses within 150 meters. 150 meters is quite close. Like, I'll say this for the Vegas sphere. I don't think 150 meters covers like half of the car park.
Yeah.
But because it's London, everything's built on top of each other. So you have your studio flat for which you pay like £15,000 a second, going up even more. Just sort of like with a big emoji, like beaming light into your window. Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, imagine just like having a wank in your room and just looking out the window and the sphere is winking at you.
Big spherical Ed Sheeran head.
Ed Sheeran's head actually is very spherical. That could work. I think we should build the Ed Sphere.
The funny thing is,
he's like looking up from the ground like Evangelion.
Yeah, Ed Sheeran will never perform. The sphere isn't hollow. It's just a solid Ed Sheeran head that is singing Small Bump 24 hours a day.
It's not like reconfigurable in any way.
Yeah.
The Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, there we go.
one of the funnier things as well is that Michael Gove was so keen on the sphere that he's trying to intervene to keep getting it built, but Dolan's like, no, fuck you.
Wait, divorced weirdo Michael Gove is on board? Fuck, we should have built this thing.
I mean,
what about his TikTok daughter? What does she think about it?
You have to check TikTok. I want to talk a little bit more. We're still staying in the UK.
Okay.
But they decided what they're doing with the money.
Oh, the sphere money?
No. This is not related to the
It was previously sphere marked for a special project.
Anyone wanting to be the new Mike on TF can write in.
Look of genuine hatred.
Yeah, we're gonna put a big Michael Gove head, like glowing at night in Stratford.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Just with his chipmunk cheeks and gigantic eyes.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
I'd love
awesome.
to see that while I'm
The
trying to
Gove
go about my
sphere.
day. No. We are talking, of course, about Jeremy Hunt.
Don't say that in a hurry.
Jeremy Hunt gave the autumn budget, promising finally
I thought you were going to say the Ottoman Empire for a second.
Jeremy Hunt finally has recreated the Ottoman Empire with a capital in London.
He's appeared with a huge
Eric
turban.
Adams.
Yeah. It's like shoulder width.
No,
Everyone's getting into Turkey now.
Jeremy Hunt has given the autumn statement about what the budget is going to be for next year, and finally, a conservative government is going to reduce borrowing, make work pay, cut taxes, reduce waste in public spending, and then get people on benefits into work with sanctions and incentives.
It's always very...
It's
now, when they say make work
isn't it?
pay, I presume they can't possibly mean by that making it impossible to live on benefits, because they've tried that before. So they must presumably mean raising the laughably low average wages of every job in the UK. I can only imagine that's what they mean, because that would be a good policy.
Yes, the minimum wage has been raised. It's been raised by just over £1 an hour.
Okay, well, because it was it was pretty high before, so
yeah, it was very high, and it's also been raised by more than inflation as well, which is great.
Oh,
no, that's of course not true. That has not happened.
Oh, okay.
It is raised by less than inflation.
Yeah, but
so it's a real terms cut.
Yes, it is a real terms pay cut.
Amazing, because I mean, to be fair, look, it was very easy to live on the minimum wage before, so I'm sure a real terms cut won't really affect it.
Benefits have also been increased by 6%, again, less than inflation. However, in exchange for that real terms pay cut, there are tougher requirements for those who claim them.
You can't just like have a pay cut. You have to give something up to earn that pay cut. You know.
Well, so we don't know exactly what the reforms are going to be yet, but one of the highlights is people claiming benefits will face, and these are 3 terrifying words to hear from Jeremy Hunt, mandatory work experience if they do not find a job within 18 months.
Oh, fuck.
You just do a sort of like work corvée. I mean, they tried this before.
They're going to make them like go to work with their uncle at the photocopier company for like a week.
Yeah,
make the tea.
We'll just like push someone who can't work into somewhere that has work that needs doing, and just kind of like hope for the best, I guess.
No, I think they should send people on benefits on year 10 work experience specifically. You should have to go and do an insane thing that you will obviously never do as a job, like just because you started organizing it at the last minute. You got to go and you got to find an uncle, and you just got to go do whatever they do for the day.
Yeah, you got to go shadow your uncle. The nation's uncles will be scrambled.
That's right.
No. So essentially what the claim here is that these biggest set of welfare reforms in a decade will get a further 200,000 people into work, into a job which will likely be a pay cut.
Yeah, I mean, there's sort of like stick, which is, you have to do the mandatory year 10 work experience. And then there's carrot, which is you get paid less to do it when you do get a job.
Yeah.
So
there's this big stick, which is made out of carrot. It's a very unnutritious carrot.
So Jeremy Hunt just bludgeoning the British taxpayer with a sort of like big root vegetable.
So but aside from we'll go as more details are released on sort of exactly how that is to be executed. We'll of course talk about it. The other 2 highlights, of course, are that finally the Conservative government is going to crack down on public spending services with a responsible approach to tackling waste.
Austerity is back.
Well, specifically,
did it ever really go away?
This is going to account for a £19 billion reduction in spending on public services. That will.
Oh, we won't miss that.
No, of course. I mean, you could have cut some stuff.
Wait, hang on. We're still spending £19 billion on public services. It's fucking news to me, cunt.
And that, of course, in that time. We will be growing the economy by 0.6% this year and 0.7% next. But basically a decade of more or less flat growth. 2 decades.
Do you reckon the Tories will eventually administer themselves out of a job? Like they'll get to a point where they've cut so many things that it's sort of like, the Jenga tower is teetering, and they're like, well, the only thing left to cut is the Prime Minister and the cabinet. We've got rid of everything else.
Yeah, we're drowning the government.
Jacob Rees-Mogg living in a fridge box under a bridge.
Yeah, and then you're back with the one man who runs Britain.
Yeah, well,
it's just that these are the skeleton crew of one guy.
Yeah, so this is all of that, though, of course, is to going around the idea, right, which is that Jeremy Hunt said also, whereas this Jeremy is growing the economy, his, meaning Keir Starmer's Jeremy Corbyn, would have crashed it. To which
Dark Jeremy.
Yeah.
The sort of Jeremy warrior.
Yeah, a tale of 2 Jeremys.
To which I say, oh my God, I'm so glad that no one crashed the economy.
Yeah. It's a good job that didn't happen.
I'm just trying to figure out a fourth Jeremy, because I think you could plausibly do a political compass of Jeremys in the UK with Hunt, Corbyn, Clarkson, and then you would need
Vine.
Perfect. Right, we've solved politics.
Yeah. Okay.
I will, Milo and I will take our honorary doctorates in poli-sci now.
Perfect. All right. Well, we've solved the politics.
Well, there you go. If you would like to be sent a printout of your official Trashfuture for Jeremy's political 4 Jeremys, Jeremy, that's insane.
Matrix. Yeah. So, but again, this Jeremy is growing the economy. His one would have crashed it. Yeah. But the
economy's going so fucking well, isn't it? It's great. Everything's fine. There's no problems. Why worry?
Yeah. The thing that strikes me about this, though, right, is that as you sort of alluded to earlier, it's just like a conservative budget text.
Yeah.
It's kind of they've run out of shit to do. They tried the Liz Truss thing, and that it nearly incinerated the entire economy. They know they're going to be out at the next election, and so it leaves a bunch of time bombs for Labour with all of those cuts that Starmer is never ever going to reverse. But in general, it's just like
it would be irresponsible.
Doing the expected thing. It's like you run out of mana to cast a really devastating budget, and you just have this one.
They're out of spell slots, and they're casting a budget cantrip.
It's so funny. We're sort of in the situation of the reverse 4 Yorkshiremen sketch, where the Conservatives are just no matter how shit it gets in Britain, they're actually they're living in the shoebox, they're living in the hole in the road, but they're going, this is nothing. If Jeremy Corbyn were in charge, we'd be living in a jar of piss. And then and then a month later, you're all living in a jar of piss, and they're like, you haven't seen anything. I tell you what, if Jeremy Corbyn had won, we'd be living in a sort of a puddle of diarrhea. And then a month later, you're in the puddle of diarrhea, and they're like, honestly, right, if Jeremy Corbyn were in charge of UK, right, we'd be living just in arsehole. Not even a particular animal, just an arsehole, just a disembodied anus. And then you're in the disembodied anus, right? If Jeremy Corbyn were in charge, and then just a single gunshot rings out, and it's the entire country has been sold to Serco, and we're euthanizing you like lame racehorses.
Anyway, so it is true though that this is having done that, right? Having actually tried the thing that conservatism is supposed to always be working to. But never supposed to do, and then doing it, right? Having done that, blown everything up, there's very little appetite, but it seems to not matter, because the way to understand, and I think this goes back to even what we talked about elite recycling and how Britain just doesn't cycle its elites. The fact that this is wildly out of touch with what even business wants is just a feature of our completely delusionally cosseted political system.
Well, Cameron's back, and so are the budgets. Yeah. This is a vintage Cameron era, Osborne budget.
We are finally going to hug that hoodie.
Finally, we're gonna do it in the sphere.
Look, here's the thing. Here's another thing I want to talk about. We all know that beliefs drive behavior, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we know beliefs drive behavior. Now, Culture Pulse.
Is this a startup?
Oh yeah. What do you think of that segue?
I loved it.
Beautiful.
It was great.
Smooth, buttery smooth.
Okay.
Culture Pulse. Is this a new way that you can get a selection of TV shows injected directly into your bloodstream?
No, I don't know how that would work.
Is it? It sounds sort of analytical. It's going to do something like Spotify, where it sort of takes all of your media consumption, right? And it does something like an everything wrapped. Here's all the shit you consumed this year.
It sounds like a blog from 2010, like a Perez Hilton type thing. Is that what we're bringing back? Blogs from the early
we have David
2010s?
Cameron back. We have 2010 style budgets back.
Yeah,
we have small bump era Ed Sheeran.
Nick Clegg's new website.
So unlock new levels of audience insight. Now, here's the thing: you're gonna probably you're gonna probably guess what it is, and you're like, wait, why are you talking about that? I've told Alice already, not what it does, but that some of what it's being used for is so awful that it will make you want to turn off the recording if you are listening.
Yes. Yeah. I asked what the vibe was, and you said it would be specifically so aggravating that you asked me not to hang up on you.
Is it being used to promote Mrs. Brown's Boys? Because that's pretty bad.
Yeah. So, unlock new levels of audience insight. No single attribute drives decisions. It's the interplay of dozens of dimensions that creates action. Culture Pulse's AI predicts behavior by modeling the entire belief system that motivates people to act. Think of it as behavior prediction as a service.
Oh, okay.
So it is essentially like it was a social media marketing firm that has now decided, it has modeled the sort of 83 points of behavior so that you can...
Oh, is that all of them?
Yes, the 83 points of belief.
That I have.
Yes, you have 83 beliefs. I don't know if you know that.
Okay. Sure. Pretty sure I couldn't list all of them right now.
We've got
sounds
horny, depressed horny.
Yeah, the 5 pillars of Islam, the 9 delights.
Yeah.
That already takes us up to 14.
Yeah.
And
Alice has found a secret 10th delight and broken the system.
Beer is the drink of summer. That's 15. Yeah. I'll keep sprinkling these through.
This.
TK Maxx costs less. That's 16.
Beer is for strength, wine is for wisdom, and spirits are for courage. How about that one? That's 3 beliefs right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dutch courage.
We're just racking up these beliefs.
The courage that it takes to put on blackface.
What is it going to do
all right, so,
with these beliefs?
So the company was built as basically a kind of social media marketing firm that had an AI element. They say, know what drives your audience. Culture Pulse models the belief systems that drive audience action so you can predict behavior more accurately with less data and in less time. Then you can optimize your ads in minutes rather than weeks to ensure your message connects. Precisely predict what resonates with your audience using AI-powered A/B testing and taste the network.
What if what resonates with your audience isn't something that you are able to do in a way that is like commensurate to advertising with them because of the invisible structure of capitalism that constrains us? Like Nike isn't going to do an ad that says "Free Palestine," right?
Well, hold that in your mind.
But that's another one right there. We're up to like 16 Free Palestine.
So they have this thing called resonance. That they say their company can help you maximize. Resonance happens when an amplified information's frequency matches another natural frequency of vibration. Because of matched vibration, resonance is frequently associated with music. And so they say from a marketing perspective regarding resonance, consider those 2 notes that sound together and your messaging. First, marketers must pay close attention to the note that their market plays and hear it clearly. And next, the marketer or advertiser must play a note that resonates with their target audience. You can find that note by testing your messaging on a Culture Pulse digital audience twin.
This is like something fucking Johnson would say on Peep Show. Like,
no. Hold on. This is the fucking basement under the theater and the Prestige. Tell me about my cultural influence twin.
So they can model you, right? Or that's what they say, right? Is they can make, using these 83 characteristics, AI agents. And those AI agents can react to things that you put in front of them very quickly.
They project you onto the big sphere.
Yeah, that's right.
And then they show you stuff like beer. Like, would you drink this in summer?
What if I'm uncomfortable with having them make an AI chatbot double of me that looks at like a photo of, a beer ad or whatever and says beer is the drink of summer?
Yeah. Well, don't worry about it.
Classic Alice lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it, is what I would say.
You just say a strapped up brick and the computer just explodes.
If you were the kind of person who is like all in, if you were an OpenAI person, if you're on the Heaven's Gate away team, if you're like, we're about to build God here, we're about to build the thinking machine, right? What this is saying is, it's real like, Omela stuff, is that in order to market product more convincingly, what we are going to do is we are going to build, confine, and torture in a kind of Adbusters sense a god of you.
But with the intelligence of a 9-year-old. So, wow, I guess...
It is the ones who walk away from Omelas. It fully is.
Everyone really wants Action Man.
So basically, it's you create this psychologically accurate digital twin of your audience. Right. So you say, okay, well, my audience, let's say of 100,000 people, it's going to have their 83 personality sliders are all going to be on average like this. You create all those people within that range, and then they react to it for you. The platform models belief systems that drive human behavior and quantifies anger, anxiety, personality, morality, family, friends, finances, inclusivity.
Personality from 1 to 10.
Inclusivity.
Yeah, placement on the Jeremy matrix.
Yeah, that's right.
Your percentage of like relative languidness, looseness.
Some kind of insane like Myers-Briggs test where it's like, would you say that you're more Jeremy Corbyn, Hunt, Clarkson, or Vine?
It models racism, hate speech, and plenty of other cultural categories.
Okay, so Clarkson.
Yeah. So basically, there's one of their reviews.
So they're just like torturing a bunch of racist AI chatbots with endless adverts until they determine the precise composition of racism that will most effectively sell shoes or whatever.
This is David Lezniaks, a Reddit marketing specialist.
Why are beep loafers?
It says,
pretty certain that all marketing specialists are Reddit, if you ask me.
Writing headline text isn't my cup of tea, but using Culture Pulse, I get so much insight that I reached 1.7 thousand upvotes in my community.
Wow.
So, anyway. Oh, sorry, 82. It's 93 social dimensions.
Dudes.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I have way more beliefs than I thought.
Yeah, there's room for the ice cold, refreshing taste of a Coors Light.
So,
in summer, because beer is the drink of summer.
So basically, think of it this way. You create ads, test them against a digital audience, and then it gives you a resonance score to refine your message and publish it when it's a perfect fit.
But how do you know where your audience fits on these 93 personality sliders? That seems like the big leap here. Is like, oh, well, all you need to be able to do is closely define exactly who your audience is.
Yeah, and then this takes the work out of marketing, figuring out how to market to them, basically. But you have to already know that. Anyway, they've recently...
seems very hard to know.
They've recently...
It's sort of like just go with mass surveillance, hook it into the smart fridges that can determine your sort of like emotional states.
This is from...
they see me smile when I look at a beer.
Yeah, they're like, it is summer.
So this is...
So we got her.
They recently received some investment. It says Slovakian social media analytics startup Culture Pulse helps businesses communicate with potential customers in a tone that's least likely to cause a negative reaction, and just received $1 million from Zero Gravity Capital to move the AI software to a SaaS platform. So this is the thing. This is where it gets odd. Prior to its commercial launch, Culture Pulse's AI technology was used in research projects such as the Forgiveness Project with the Wolf Institute, where they used highly advanced artificial intelligence to simulate and analyze social conditions in Northern Ireland by distilling over 50 million articles from the largest database of articles in human society ever created into their 80 aspects of culture, psychology, and morality underpinning the Northern Ireland conflict.
Yeah, they put the troubles on the Jeremy matrix.
Yeah. And it weirdly came out heavily as Vine.
Yeah, Northern Irish Union is very, very heavily Vine.
The Northern Irish conflict was in a lot of ways like a Jeremy Vine phone-in. There was a lot of yelling. There wasn't a lot of understanding.
Yeah, a series of phoned-in warnings.
My vision, says CEO Justin Lane, was to draw upon the decades of research in psychology and AI to offer the only AI platform in the world that can be used globally by businesses across every industry, geography, and every channel imaginable. Now,
but you trained it on a sort of like borderline civil war.
Well, that's the thing, right? He trained it on all of those articles and then tried to use it to figure out the Civil War. Now, with that in mind,
after doing some marketing, is it?
I'm about to read the headline now.
Brings a whole new meaning to guerrilla marketing.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm about to now read the headline that made me decide to include this company. The UN hired an AI company to untangle the Israeli-Palestinian crisis.
Oh boy!
Oh
boy!
Fucker! Okay, right. Yes, once we figure out which Jeremy Hamas is, we are going to solve this thing in an afternoon.
Corbyn, obviously.
So
immediate dub for Corbyn there.
Yeah, of course.
I knew that this would be quite the quite the thing.
Hezbollah, Kyle. They're much less reasonable.
Yeah.
Tell you what, Hamas and Hezbollah do not have a position on whether or not beer is the drink of summer. You know,
they've abstained. It is shameful.
Yes, yeah, shameful moral abstention. So have they just decided to do this, or is someone like contracting them to try and do?
Sorry,
this?
I think the red mist might have descended when I read the headline.
Yes.
It was the UN.
Yes, very
the UN.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
What I don't understand is, I mean, obviously, like what this company is doing is kind of insane anyway. But like, why do the UN imagine that the solution to the Israel-Palestine conflict will be marketing based?
Because all NGOs and the UN most of all are these like huge behemoths which like exist to get huge amounts of their own staff killed and then go and then piss a bunch of money up a wall going, yeah, but what if there was an AI clone of the like Palestinian child under the rubble and we knew how that Palestinian child's robot clone felt about Jeremy Kyle?
Why don't I read you the article?
Pieces at hand, we've fucking done it.
Why don't I read you the article?
Please.
Training artificial intelligence models does not typically involve coming face-to-face with an armed soldier, but the system that Justin Lane and F. Laron Schultz,
name,
co-founders of Culture Pulse, are developing for the UN is not typical. Schultz and Lane, Americans now based in Europe, were on the ground as part of a contract they signed with the UN to develop an AI model that they hope would analyze solutions to the Israel-Palestinian conflict.
American who's moved to Slovakia is a fucked vibe.
Yeah, two Americans.
Yeah. CIA, ringing the big CIA bell.
Well, once you've got the like Fed name where it's like first initial, middle name, surname, that's
So,
like F. Murray Abraham.
Yeah. Well, in this case, it's F. Laron Schultz.
Or F. Scott Fitzgerald. Two famous Feds.
Oh, we're very nearing another political compass here.
Oh yeah, the Fs, the F compass.
So Schultz and Lane are aware that claiming an AI could solve the crisis between Israelis and Palestinians is likely to result in a lot of eye-rolling, if not outright hostility.
Yes. Yeah, but you kind of did, though, didn't you?
So they're quick to dispel that this is what they were trying to do. Quite frankly, if I were to phrase it that way, I'd roll my own eyes, too. The key is that the model is not designed to resolve the situation, but to understand, analyze...
It's designed to inflame it.
To understand, analyze, and get insights into implementing policies and communication strategies. Very UN. Again,
this is absolutely. We're gonna commission a sort of special report into strategies that are gonna distribute microloans to small business owners in Gaza, and those microloans will help them to sort of like rebuild their bombed businesses.
But they have to be doing AI. So we're gonna make it Singapore.
Okay.
So the conflict, they say, is centuries old and deeply complex, and made even more complicated by the current crisis. To which you have to say, no, it is fucking not. It is not complex. You do not need an AI to tell you why it is happening. It is happening because some people are bombing some other people and won't let them leave the small strip of land.
Yeah, but if we knew about what kind of marketing they like, then we might gain some insights into why they want to do that.
I could put this in simple terms so to understand. The IDF has got the people of Gaza, and it keeps saying, "Why are you hitting yourself? Stop hitting yourself. Why don't you just leave if you want to stop hitting yourself?"
And I just find the idea that an AI system would be needed to they sear, say, tactical misunderstanding, right?
Tactical misunderstanding.
Tactical misunderstanding. That is to say, misunderstanding that you do on purpose so you don't have to confront something, right?
Yeah, calling it a tactical misunderstanding on my own position.
So egregious to say, oh, well, we need an AI to figure this one out, as though it's not that one side has F-16s.
Yeah, I mean, I think anyone who is aware of and, God forbid, works in this sector will tell you that this is not new. It's probably not the most egregious thing. The fact that there's some chatbots involved is I guess the distinction.
Well, I think the most insulting is whoa, we need the social media marketing guys to help us figure out this one.
Yeah, we got to get in. Yeah,
we're gonna figure out what gets the most Reddit upvotes, and whatever it is, whatever the most the most popular on Reddit solution, that's the one that we're gonna recommend that they do.
Yeah. Countless efforts of finding a political solution have failed, and any eventual end to the crisis would need support.
Because one side doesn't want it, and the other side is then forced by that into a position where any ending to it, any solution is impossible for them to take.
Oh, golly, why are these Palestinians so mad? I'm not going to look into anything that has happened in the last 70 years. I'm just going to assume that it's due to the marketing communications that we're producing. We're not talking to them right.
So,
getting a lot of spam phone calls from the IDF saying that they're going to blow up my house.
So we know that you can't solve a problem with this complex, the single AI system. That's not ever going to be feasible, in my opinion.
Oh, we need many of them.
Yeah. What is feasible is using an intelligent AI system with a digital twin of the conflict to explore potential solutions that are there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of just they've invented a marketing war game there, where they're if we run these ads, the conflict plays out like this. But I would say that if you were honest about this, every single one would remain exactly the same. The situation would remain completely unaffected because it doesn't matter. It's like it's a jobs creation program and like funding siphon off of the UN.
It just seems to be just like openly, like you say, deliberately misunderstanding the situation. It almost feels as though they're presupposing a system where like Palestinians and Israelis live in like a single state with equal rights, but they just don't get on. Rather than a situation where there's kind of Palestine has a separate but entirely subordinate state where the IDF is now telling them your options are either die or leave. Like, I don't really think there's a kind of marketing way out of that.
Well, then it's incredibly complex if you don't want to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
So they say what they plan to do is they plan to model everyone in the region. In the past iterations,
it's a smaller list every day. You got to hurry because the war crimes, it's taken out a lot of people.
In past iterations, their model has replicated every single person virtually, each imbued with demographics, religious beliefs, and moral values that echo their real-world counterpart. Culture Pulse's models can factor in over 80 categories to each agent, including some of the ones we listed earlier.
Beer is the drink of summer. And so forth.
I mean, if it modeled every single person in Northern Ireland over the course of the travels for this, at some point Sue Gray's beliefs are in this database.
Awesome.
one of the beliefs in there is I should go and open a pub in Antrim for no reason.
Yeah, because beer is the drink of summer.
Yeah, it's summer. What else do you want her to do?
I've heard it said that beer is the drink of summer. Just like a video of like a bunch of guys in balaclavas from both the IRA and the UVF all drinking beer together in a beer garden at Sue Gray's pub because they're like, well, we may not agree on much, but I can say this: beer is the drink of summer.
I mean, through AI, we can generate what a sort of beautiful visage that would look like, and it would be worth the like 15 liters of
Drake
water
could be there.
Spent to do it.
Schultz says, these models are entire artificial societies with thousands or millions of simulated adaptive artificially intelligent agents and they're designed in a way that's more psychologically realistic and more sociologically realistic. You have an artificial laboratory that you can play with on your PC in ways that you could certainly never do ethically in the real world.
SMF playing City Skylines. Like there's very little about this that sort of like shocks me.
It says it could actually get to causality because the multi-agent AI system which grows the conflict, the polarization, or the peaceful immigration policy from the ground up. So it shows you what you'd want to create before you go try it out in the real world.
But if it creates the policy, end the occupation...
Well, you can't do that.
The Israelis go, no, then what use is the model? You've just created a very elaborate kind of video game in order to demonstrate something which a ton of people are already calling for and which the Israelis have shown no interest in.
Well, but this time it's the UN doing it.
Everyone listens to the UN.
The UN has already gone, this is, a sort of unprecedented humanitarian crisis.
Yeah, because they're anti-Semites.
And Israel has gone, you are in Hamas. So maybe these guys are in Hamas too, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, they're creating a bunch of digital Hamas guys.
Yeah. They're digitally cloning. They're digitally doubling the forces available to Hamas.
Yeah, they're creating Hamas terrorists with the intelligence of a 9-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, you accuse sort of protesters of supporting Hamas, but nobody's supporting Hamas to the extent of like making twice as many.
Yeah, I created Hamas in The Sims.
So they
the Hamas IDF Sims house is a sort of rough interpersonal dynamics.
Yeah. So basically, Lane in Northern Ireland spent months finding and speaking to those directly involved in the violence, such as members of the UVF or the IRA. And the information that Lane gathered in those interviews was fed into his model to give a more complete understanding of the psychology behind the violence. Now,
sorry, I've just been struck very strongly by the sound of a very broad Northern Irish accent saying the words "digital clone" and the vowel sounds in that are sort of like doing something to my brain.
So,
where do you stand on beer?
I went to go read the paper that came out of this, and I thought it was very odd in its obviousness. They say. Culture Pulse worked with the Wolf Institute at Cambridge to work through biases and assumptions about peace. For example, one early assumption was that forgiveness would be highly correlated with cooperation events and negatively correlated with conflict events. And while forgiveness has traditionally been studied at an individual level, Culture Pulse found essentially that it was not relevant. Fairness proved to be more predictive. And in the context of Northern Ireland,
but
yes.
I could have told you this.
Yeah.
Anyone could have told you this. This was the point of the conflict. It's the point of the conflict in Palestine as well. Is that like it's not so much hurt feelings. It is like an obvious material reality of this is a place that is occupied, right? That then generates those things around it. And if you can't address anything without addressing the material condition, why do you need to play The Sims to tell me this?
Well, that's just it, right? This is why I found so compelling about this company. Is that you have created from the ground up a thing that will tell you what is obvious if you look at it with your eyes.
Yeah. What if we could put the blue gnome cheats on for Palestine and just make a bunch more land, and then everyone would be happy?
You know what this is, right? This is one of those Rube Goldberg machines, right? I mean, it extracts money off the UN at every point of it. It's a remora, right? But it's a Rube Goldberg machine. It's like you start a fucking OK Go video, and at the end of it, after knocking down a bunch of balls down slides and popping a bunch of balloons, a big banner unfurls that says "Free Palestine." But we already knew that.
And we don't need we don't need F. Laurent Schultz to create an entire digital twin of the society to say that, because then it's going to spit that out and they're going to be okay, well, what if that's not possible? What then? And then it's going to be like, I don't know, marketing, I guess.
You know what it is? This is like two Americans in Slovakia going, hey, I hear you're having trouble with your territory, so I brought you a map that 1-to-1 reproduces the territory. And as we know, there are no philosophical problems with this.
It's very funny that they're kind of that they're doing all of this debate about like, oh, what could we possibly do? We got to find like nuanced solutions or whatever, and all this. And they're doing all of this thinking, all of this computing power. But ultimately, as far as the UN is concerned, the only two like options that are on the table is allow the genocide to continue unabated, or allow the genocide to continue unabated, but we're shaking our head while you do it. Like, and they're jumping through all of these hoops just to ultimately end up with that as the option.
Yeah, and to just be like, well, we checked the computer, and we said the computer can't give us the wrong answer.
Well, Israel, you're now disagreeing with the computer with the intelligence of a 9-year-old. So think on. Look, you know what? You go ahead and do it, but you should know that in The Sims, it ended up pretty badly.
So it's the key to the success of all these.
Yeah, and we know what Israel does to real 9-year-olds who are Palestinians. So
key to the success of all these efforts is a collection of information about what's happening on the ground. And so when they signed the contract with the UNDP in August, the first thing Schultz and Lane wanted to do was arrange a visit to Israel and the West Bank, where they spent about a week gathering data. Just a week. We met with the UN and different NGOs going out to villages, seeing firsthand what it looks like with the settler dynamics that are there. Again, what are you going out to like the vales of this fucking like just American-style suburbs with gigantic walls and IDF guys around them, being like, "Hey, so what do you think of having a barbecue? How safe do you feel? Do you want to give this guy his house back?"
Asking Itamar Ben-Gvir whether he believes that beer is the drink of summer.
Yeah, Ben-Gvir is the drink of summer.
The pair hoped to go to Gaza, but were not able to secure permission.
Fantastic. Perfect. No questions.
Yeah.
Israel wouldn't let us build the data on Gaza, so we're just going to have to guess. I reckon beer is the drink of summer in Gaza.
The reason the UN is turning to AI...
Gaza weirdly strongly Clarkson coded.
Yeah. Whoa, one of the toughest environments in the world.
Again, a good Clarkson.
Thank you.
Clarkson doing a paraglider.
I could actually see fucking Hammond, May, and Clarkson doing some kind of insane driving challenge through Gaza that would get pulled from the air halfway through.
Yeah, we actually did the opposite of peace in the Middle East.
Jeremy Clarkson has invented a new kind of racism.
Yeah.
We've invented war too.
Yeah, they've drawn the Prophet Muhammad on the side of James May's car. Like Richard Hammond is driving a car disguised as a giant pig.
Yeah,
the Grand Tour Gaza pulled halfway through as Egypt invades Gaza,
specifically to end the Grand Tour. The way that the UN have phrased it to us is that there's no more low-hanging fruit in this situation, and they needed to try something that was new and innovative, something that was really thinking outside the box, yet still addressing...
This really is we've tried nothing and we're all out of ideas.
Something that was really outside the box and yet really addressing the root issues of the problem. Because again, we have the box. The box has one solution that works, which is end the occupation.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's League of Nations shit again, where it's like, okay, the existential challenge to this organization is, can it make a ruling and enforce it when one of the parties is like, no, fuck that, I'm not going to do it? And, the answer is when they have a superpower backing them, the answer is no. And so everything else sort of degenerates into
Marketing.
farce and incoherence and bringing a couple of Reddit marketing guys along.
The problems are bad, but their causes are very good.
Now, we have a few minutes left in the show, and I'm very glad we got to this because we don't read the articles of Julie Burchill very often.
Oh, well, it's always time for a change, isn't it? I've modelled all 83 points of Julie Burchill's personality to go along with her voice, and I would just like to say that beer is the drink of summer, and they should inspect your genitals before you're allowed in the beer garden.
So she's got some articles in The Spectator, most of which are her, some anti-Sam Smith stuff. A Dave Courtney one.
Wait, there's one about Dave Courtney?
Yeah, Dave Courtney.
He was a proper hard bastard. I tell you what, he had over 500 flat-nosed geezers under his control, and they were all geezers. None of them had pronouns. There's no doubt about what toilet they would be using. In fact, the only time they would do anything unconventional with a toilet would be if they were calling you a toilet. Because you disputed their claim to being a hard bastard.
When we did the planning for this episode, I saw the byline on the article, and I asked, "Is Milo in tonight?" And when you said yes, I was like, "Okay, I can just sit back for this one." it's like a vacation for me. I'm good.
No, so basically, the Dave Courtney one, just to praise it, is about it's like, only middle class TV Tarquins like Dave Courtney.
TV Tarquin.
She got our ass.
What like the sort of like legendary dictator of Rome?
I suppose so.
Yeah.
I think that's maybe the most sort of Tarquin coded way of answering.
I'm going on tvtarquins.com to learn about what kind of like legendary dictator of Rome opinions I can have about TV.
He's basically, it's like he says, the fascination with hard men persists right into the realms of art, with Scorsese and Tarantino building careers on them. Anyway.
No, she's got her ass. This is the only piece of salient criticism Julie Burchill has landed on us.
Yeah.
So
we are fascinated by hard men.
And the hard times that create them.
That's right. Yeah.
No. I thought this was fun because
and the soft men that create those hard times.
Hard future.
Because aside from all the other stuff, the usual things about why are young people so anti-Semitic, all that stuff, what we have in front of us, Julie Burchill, advent calendars are becoming offensively showy.
Oh, grappling with the real issues, I see.
In my day, it was simple. You bought an advent calendar and you knew whether it was male or female. And you never got to December the 12th and you opened the door and the advent calendar said, "I'm a woman now." But you can't guarantee that with an advent calendar these days because of what?
My advent calendar actually uses its pronouns.
Each year in the charity shop where I volunteer, the Christmas cards arrive in August, and by September...
Sorting the men's and women's clothing into separate and clearly labelled baskets.
Imagine you go to the fucking BHF or whatever and Julie Burchill was on the till. Fucking hell.
Yeah. Just checking you haven't misread BHF.
But at least it's in the aid of charity and thus in keeping with the spirit of the season, even if Christmas is still almost a third of a year away.
Feels like it's coming earlier every year.
There's a grim humor in the way supermarkets can't keep up with their own greed, arranging their different seasonal wares so that even at the end of October, gummy sweets celebrating the Prince of Darkness jostle with chocolate celebrating the birth of the Prince of Peace.
Wait, there's gummy sweets celebrating the birth of Ozzy Osbourne?
They're really satanic Halloween chocolates. Yeah.
Now, fucking Julie Burchill and Ozzy Osbourne, that would be a conversation with some fucking voices.
It's the Halloween candies. They're satanically small. Satan doesn't want you to have much chocolate.
You're giving me this bag of sweets, Julie, but you can't get the sweets. There's nothing in there.
But even more distasteful are the bastardizations of the advent calendar available to those with terminally shallow lives.
The bastardization, what kind of sacred heyday of the advent calendar are we recalling back to? When were advent calendars not woke?
Jesus was
when were advent
technically a
calendars
bastard.
Well, that's the great. This is one of the things I love about like the Brits trying to talk about how like Christmas is no longer what it was and everyone's too selfish. Americans have war on Christmas, but every time British people, whether it's Catherine Burblesing or Julie Burchill, try to like gin up some war on Christmas, all they can think of is like, oh, advent calendars ain't what they used to be, because it's not a particularly religious country.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. I can remember like being a kid and one of the more like curmudgeonly teachers at primary school. We were like, we all had advent calendars when we were children, whatever. And then the teacher was like,
oh, when I was a child, an advent calendar didn't have any chocolate in it. It only had a little festive picture. It's as it should be.
And I'm like, oh, that sounds shit. It sounds like it was shitter. It sounds like it was worse, actually. It sounds like it's much better now. Why would you pretend like that was good? It sounds like it sucked.
Well, over a month ago, I received my first offer of one from Mac. Quote, worth over £480, yours for $170, packed with 24 indulgent treats, including 21 full-size products. No, thank you.
I mean, I love a filler column is the thing, right? Because what they reach for as a columnist when there's fuck all to write about, that's what really separates, that's where Adrian Chiles like rose to the top and made his career off of that shit, was having nothing, absolutely nothing, and going, you know what, I will do the perfect column. And what Julie Burchill, what she's done is essentially like look through her own spam mail. She's gone like, all right, I need to get the thing done. The fucking wokes are trying to contact me about my car's extended warranty. Why, when will this be stopped?
The DFS sale has gone too far. When will it end? It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense to call it a sale when it seems to be on 364 days a year. If anything, they have one day a year where it's more expensive, and it should be labelled as such. What is next, DFS? Will the sofas have pronouns? Your silence speaks volumes.
So I also love that it's just like, I don't understand what she's actually upset about, other than just advent calendars were fine when they were a little chocolate, but not when they were a picture. That was fine. This far and no further. But it's the Andy Rooney of it all. I think
advent calendars are like because she's talking about these really expensive ones where it's like,
not just the expensive ones, because here's the next paragraph. In an amusing bit of jiggery wokery, the Tony Chocolonely calendar features an empty window on the 8th of December to highlight inequality and slave labor policies of unscrupulous firms in the chocolate manufacturing business.
Okay, Tony's Chocolonely, whilst the chocolate is good, they can fuck all the way off. They are the most annoying. Like, first of all, they're Dutch, which speaks for itself.
No, they're not. They're actually Belgian.
Oh, well, even worse.
Here's the other thing, right? Is I've been wanting to work this into an episode for ages, and this is my opportunity, because I looked at Tony's Chocolonely and I was like, that's odd. How come it's everywhere all of a sudden? What kind of private equity funding did it get? And then I answered that question. A huge amount of money had poured into it from a company called Verlinvest. Verlinvest, they are a family office for a very wealthy Belgian family.
Oh.
Yeah. A very, very wealthy Belgian family indeed. And
they practically bit their hand off for this investment.
And the funny thing was, though, is that Verlinvest is basically the office of the Sporlberch and de Melvius families, who are both like,
oh, come on.
I'd love to be called de Melvius.
Yeah, but like these are, let's say, families that have been wealthy in Belgium for a very long time.
I see.
If you get my meaning.
Chocolonely, it's brewed in the Congo.
Taking a very anti-slavery step now.
I mean, this is the thing. If Julie Burchill's complaint about Tony's
Belgians have gone woke.
is that they're doing a kind of like false piety thing. If she wants to call that woke, fine, whatever. We can't really disagree with her.
No.
Yeah.
It's just that to present this as like a sort of issue of import.
No, it's annoying that such good chocolate is made by such annoying people, because if you've never had a bar of Tony's Chocolonely, right, it's very expensive.
It's all right.
And then it comes in like very uneven cubes, and then none of the lines match up, and it's basically impossible to break up without like injuring yourself or getting chocolate all over the floor. And then they've got a really patronizing note in the paper which says, "Our chocolate is broken up unevenly to represent how the profits of the chocolate industry are broken up unevenly." It's like, you literally are the chocolate industry, cunt. Like, either distribute the profits evenly or don't, but don't fucking patronize me.
With Tony's Chocolate Only specifically, it is the people in Belgium, like some of the richest families in Europe, who own the entire Belgian brewing industry.
Jeeps van der Rubber Plantation or whatever.
Yeah.
The beer is the drink of summer.
Yeah, but who are sort of like, have been Belgian aristocrats for, ages, right? That is essentially them doing reputation laundering via their family office.
Nice.
So again, but they get with what I think is funny about this one is more just like, I'm upset. I'm upset at the marketing. Like all of this stuff. It's like, I'm upset at the marketing.
Sure.
So I can't, and she also then says, the Mail reports that unhappy parents said they did not need to be taught a lesson by my advent calendar, adding that it upset children with autism who didn't understand the reason. And I thought making that kind of accommodation was woke.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing, right? I think what she's doing here is she's doing a kind of like, what used to be called clown world thing on the right, where it's like, the woke chocolate company tried to act wokely, but then the woke children out-woked them.
Yeah. Well, it really upset children with a different kind of autism who understood how hollow the gesture was, because they had a very deep grasp of the history of the cocoa trade and also all of the investors in Tony's Chocolate Only.
Are you thinking of anyone in particular?
Look, let's not get into it.
So, I can't say I'm wildly sympathetic to parents whose idea of celebrating a major religious festival involves shoveling sweets down the throats of their little darlings.
You're fucking British! Can we stop pretending to be fucking Yanks? Like, what are you talking about? If you're a religious Christian in Britain, you are a fucking freak, okay? This has been a secular country for as long as anyone can fucking remember. Look, do not start pretending in the fucking newspaper this is a Christian country, because it fucking isn't. I remember growing up in this country, and if you met anyone at school who seriously believed in God, you were like, you are a fucking weirdo, and my mum will not let me go around your house like that.
Christian God.
Yeah, Christian God.
Yeah, if you meet white Christians,
Milo's
I grew up in Essex. It was Christian God or nothing.
Parents,
yeah,
but like the other thing is too, it's very weird for Julie Burchill to be doing this about Christmas specifically, because like, this is not the religion she's ever shown any interest in. Like I thought she was too busy on her like philo-Semitism stuff. Where is the like woke Hanukkah?
That's why I think that that's why I think this article is fun. It's like an escaped containment from 2009.
Ooh.
Yeah, right.
This is like it's no shoes, but it certainly is just like a thought strikes a columnist, and then their eyes roll back in their head, and then you wake up, and then you're complaining about the advent calendar.
Yeah. So Julie Burchill is a mentat.
Yeah. So, but she complains about the cosmetics calendar, saying Liberty's is 250 pounds, Joe Malone's is 350 pounds, Diptyque's is 390, and it's like,
Don't buy the fucking candle advent calendar. It's aimed at lunatics.
You're also getting annoyed that you're being marketed to by like shitty businesses trying to target like sort of older women, like fucking Liberty, for fuck's sake. Like, yeah, that the stalwart of the fucking woke agenda, Liberty of London.
I want the Liberty X advent calendar. Riley's looking at me confused because he doesn't know who Liberty X are.
Doesn't know Liberty X. Pathetic. How did you pass your citizenship test?
Anyway, Liberty X were a pop group from the very early 2000s who were originally called Liberty but had to change their name due to there being another pop group called Liberty.
We're used to moisturizer being called a hero or shampoo a savior, but to commercialize the countdown to one of the most important days in the Christian calendar, so it adds up to nothing more than a bit of scent and lipstick, really does demonstrate a degraded culture.
No one fucking cares. What are you talking about? And more to the point, Julie Burchill, you don't fucking care. You're literally a rich liberal from London. When was the last time you went to church? What the fuck are you talking about? No one. What? Since when? Since when? Like, Christmas has been defined by like fucking Robo Sapien or whatever the fuck since as long as I can remember.
Yeah, it's this is someone who's been watching Trigger Pod but wants to complain about the advent calendar?
I don't get it. I think Julie Burchill should be forced to have like a fucking ice-chewing Protestant religious Christmas, like kneeling on a stone floor in prayer all day, like chewing on a bit of straw or whatever the fuck it is that they do, and be like,
yes, this really is the true meaning of Christmas.
And the thing is, you can do it. It's legal to do this. You can go. You can go the opposite direction. You can go to midnight mass if you want to. You can go to midnight mass, and no one will try and sell you a fucking like liberty, fucking like makeup.
Yeah.
No one's gonna try and sell you anything.
You can do
other than the concept of the apostolic church.
you can do what my neighbor Pauline did in 1986 and go to midnight mass because you've run out of alcohol, but you live opposite a church on the assumption that they would give you free wine, which they did. But then she was like, but everyone was trying to hug me. It was fucking weird. So, listen, I came here for the booze, all right?
So,
like 3 hours of prayer and song for like one cup of
but blood of Christ, whatever. What kind of ABV are we talking?
so there's something, blood of Christ export.
Yeah.
There's something miserable.
Blood of Christ.
Blood of
special
Christ is
brew.
the drink of summer.
The Danish government made this drink for Jesus.
So there's something miserable about the idea of self-gifting and people thinking to themselves, I deserve a treat. Well, why? What have you done to deserve it? And here's my
Read this column.
Here's my favorite sentence in any column we've read recently. Advent calendars, which cost a fortune, okay, so hold that in your mind, right? Advent calendars, which cost a fortune, are the opposite of food banks.
Well, I mean, Julie Burchill, she's it's a Hegelian dialectic, right? You have a thesis, food banks, you have an antithesis, advent calendars, which cost a lot, and from this they engage in struggle that transforms both, and we get a synthesis, which is the food bank advent
What
calendar.
if you went to the food bank, but the only food they had left was an advent calendar, and your 24 children got to open one window each, but 23 of them had lipstick in, which is of limited nutritional value, and one of them had no lipstick to highlight the inequality of the lipstick trade. How would you feel then? Not very good, I expect. Why can't they all have a tin of beans or some fish fingers, as would be morally correct, while kneeling on the floor in prayer?
I definitely subscribe to an advent calendar whereby you give something to charity or do a good deed each day.
What?
Would you? You're a fucking You're writing this in the Spectator,
Also,
like the evil magazine, the official magazine of being an evil bastard.
Also, you just can. You just can do a good deed every day.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see
Yeah, but
a
it's not the
fucking
same if you don't have
try,
a calendar.
but in theory,
It's not the same if you're not pushing a little like paper window.
It would the paper window just has a good deed. That's just a chore wheel. You're describing a chore wheel.
Julie Burchill can give Trashfuture the best Christmas present of all and keep writing these columns.
It would leave a far better taste in the mouth than even 24 miniature bottles of Baileys.
Wait, no. In the last
That's
second,
just
she
like
is on
one
something
bottle of
because-
Baileys.
because the advent calendars of booze are freak shit as far as I'm concerned. I saw one that was like an advent calendar of like world whiskeys, and I'm like, no, if you drink like a dram of whiskey every day for a month, you are going to make yourself into a serious
The
alcoholic.
World of Whiskey's advent calendar is very misleading because there are at best about 4 or 5 countries on Earth which produce whiskey, so that's like 4 or 5 days out of 24.
Yeah, but they left the rest blank to highlight the inequality of the global
Yeah, that's
whiskey
right.
making industry.
All right. I think
Some people never get a dram in their whole life.
we'll leave it there, but we'll see probably a few hundred of you this evening if you're listening to this on the day it comes out.
Wow.
Yes. Make your way to the South Bank of London.
Yeah, please do. Also,
This evening.
Australian tour dates very soon to be announced for me, personally.
And hey,
March and April, keep it free.
we can book nothing.
Yeah,
And for tonight, if there are tickets left, there will be a link in the description.
there will be.
Anyway, we'll see
If
you.
not, attempt to storm the barricades.
Please do not storm the venue. They will get mad.
Just wait patiently outside.
Trashfuture claims to be a socialist podcast, but they're only letting the elite first 300 or so people into their show while leaving others to sit out in the cold and be upset. Because it tells you about the fundamental inequality of podcasting. Why don't they let all of the listeners be on the podcast? Most listeners have to content themselves with pretending to be friends with them in their head while they enjoy the warm glow of real friendship on the podcast.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.